Assalamu alaikum everyone and welcome to day 18 of the Ramadan duaa Accelerator. First of all, let me know how you guys like the new background, inshallah. This isn't new. I've used it in the backgrounds of other videos, but usually I'm at my dining room table filming or at my desk. And I just felt like I needed to be near a window today, near the light, and sitting on the floor. Initially, I was unsure of how I wanted to frame this video. Then I started to read the tafsir and it came to me, and I was so grateful because I think it falls so well in line with the purpose of my channel, which is about God conscious self improvement. The dua that we are going to be speaking about is the dua that is recited by Asya. Asya, who is the wife of Fir'aun, her story is mentioned in the Quran. She's known as one of the four best women to ever exist on this earth, right next to the Prophet ﷺ's wife Khadija, Isa's mother Maryam alayhi salam, and Fatima, the Prophet ﷺ's daughter. The first introduction that we get regarding Asya, may Allah be pleased with her, is in regard to the fact that she is the one who finds Musa, Prophet Musa alayhi salam, as a baby in the Nile. And she has her servants retrieve him, and she is the one who convinces Fir'aun to actually adopt Musa alayhi salam as a child into their home. And so she's the adopted mother of Musa. She loves him dearly. And we learn that she is a believer. She's a believer in the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's so profound because the thing about Musa alayhi salam and being chosen as a prophet, the question becomes, where did he learn about so much of his deen? And it is known that one of the greatest influences that he had on himself was learning from Asya. May Allah be pleased with her herself. Now, Asya is in a very peculiar situation because she's married to Fir'aun. So she's married to the greatest oppressor of that time. She's also married to the wealthiest person in that area and the one who has power. It's an interesting conversation when you think about it because, oftentimes we hear these conversations around high value men, right? High value men are wealthy, they have influence, they have da da da. This is according to not necessarily Muslims who are making these remarks, but this narrative of what a high value man is. Well, Fir'aun, by many considerations of a lot of these red pill guys, would have been considered a high value man. But we come in from the perspective of our deen that says high value is nothing to do with how much you make, which is a matter of risk that is partly predetermined by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And yes, it can be influenced by your own actions, but there are some people that no matter the actions, Allah is not going to allow them to overcome the risk that He has written for them. And their value comes from other things. Their value comes from the way that they treat their family. Their value comes from their character. Their value comes from their worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There are Sahaba, there are individuals who we don't even know their name, we don't know their story, but the Prophet ﷺ praised them so much so that they are essentially guaranteed a spot in Jannah. And that is a reminder to us that who is high value to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may not be high value to us. That's besides the point. Asya is married to Fir'aun, and at a certain point in time, somehow, some way, we don't have the story of this in the Quran, but her deen, her belief in the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala becomes revealed to Fir'aun. So we can derive from the story that there was probably a large period of time where Asya was hiding her deen from Fir'aun, because as you guys know, Fir'aun claimed to have divinity. He wanted people to proclaim him as their Rabb, as their Lord. And so for her to, if she was upfront and saying, no, I only believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His oneness, she probably would have been massacred right then and there. But it happens much later on in the story that she is killed. And so eventually Fir'aun figures out some way that she is actually a believer in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and she is tortured. And the way that she was to be killed is extremely brutal when you hear about it. Essentially, what had happened was that she was placed at the bottom of a cliff, and a large boulder was supposed to be pushed off so it could fall and crush her. It is at that moment that Asya, essentially looking at what is going to be the end of her life, makes the following dua. And this is from Surah At-Tahrim. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وضرب الله مثلا للذين آمنوا امرأة فرعون إذ قالت رب ابني لي عندك بيتا في الجنة ونجني من فرعون وعمله ونجني من القوم الظالمين. صدق الله العظيم. And the translation is, and Allah sets forth an example for the believers. The wife of Fir'aun who prayed, my Lord, build me a house in paradise near you. Deliver me from Fir'aun and his evil-doing people. In his evil doing, and save me from the wrongdoing people. They narrate that when she made this dua, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually reveals to her, shows her her place in Jannah, her home near Allah in Jannah. And she begins to smile and laugh. And the people that are about to assassinate her are watching her laughing and smiling. And they say something along the lines of, this woman must have gone crazy, right? But they don't realize that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed to her what her true ending is going to be. They thought her ending was going to be one of humiliation. Right? Fir'aun thought her ending was going to be one of humiliation for not believing in him, for not submitting to him. But instead her ending ends up being an ending of honor, so much so that the kingdom that she was living in, that Pharaoh was so proud of having, she would have a kingdom even better than that, right? And on the other side of it, Pharaoh would be the one who would be humiliated, and his kingdom would fall right before his feet. Now, why do I love this dua? Besides the fact that it demonstrates truly what is inside the heart of Asya. And the thing about it, and I'm sure you guys have experienced this in some way, shape, or form, what is inside of us, the kind of person we truly are, will come out in moments of extreme stress. And so when we see her, the first thing that she thinks about is to make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That really demonstrates the caliber of a believer that she was. In the hardest of times, the first thought that comes to mind is, let me pray to my Rabb to help me. But the other thing that is so extraordinarily powerful about this is that actually in the Surah Al-Tahrim, right before it is spoken about Asya, we hear about two other women. And these are the wives of Nuh and the wives of Lut. So the wives of two prophets are their stories being contrasted with Asya, the wife of a tyrant and oppressor. And if you don't know the story, I'll just very briefly tell you the outcome. Nuh alayhi salam and Lut alayhi salam, their wives are both destroyed with the people, the nations that were destroyed. And they are essentially one of the disbelievers, despite being married to a prophet. And so what does this tell us, and why does this have anything to do with my channel and self-improvement? What it essentially is reminding us as Muslims is that your environment doesn't dictate the kind of person that you are or the kind of person that you can become. Yes, it has its influences. Yes, environmental influence is a huge, huge thing. Whether you're speaking about psychology, epigenetics, it is something that cannot be discounted. But it is not the ultimate end all be all deciding factor of the kind of person that you are going to be. Lut alayhi salam and Nuh alayhi salam were incredible prophets who praised Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who had incredible character, who had the knowledge of literal revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Though they did not have books, they were being told what the truth of this world is and how to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And these women were the closest in relationship to these prophets, and yet they made a decision that that's not the kind of life that they were going to live. On the other side of it, Asya lived among a person who was so full of arrogance that he assassinated anyone who disagreed with him. And yet she found her way to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And not only that, but she somehow managed to become a woman of such pure and incredible action that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala denotes her as one of the top 4 women in the world. That's a really high prize to win, subhanallah. And in those circumstances, it's very easy to let our circumstances overcome us and make us think that we just can't be anything of substance, when in reality there are certain things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us full control over. Our reaction to things, our actions, our belief in him, our time that we spend with him. No one can take away the iman from your heart. It's often said that pressure is what builds diamonds. And I think Asia's story and her dua are an example of this exact notion, that we don't have to break under the pressure of what we experience, but that we can actually, subhanAllah, use it to bring us closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And even if we don't attain the ultimate success of this dunya in the way that most people would define it, you can attain the ultimate success of ultimate successes, which is the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and ultimately the entry into Jannah. With that being said, you guys, it is the last 10 days of Ramadan. The first night of the last 10 nights of Ramadan will begin tonight by the time that this video is posted. Unless you're on the other side of the world, then it's already begun for you technically. Please make sure that you are taking advantage of these nights. Know that I actually put out a video on Laylatul Qadr, how to prepare for Laylatul Qadr. It's popping off, alhamdulillah. It's actually one of the most viewed in the recent week from the videos that I put out. Go ahead and take time, if you haven't already, to watch that video. And if you appreciated this video, then please like it and comment below. If you're not subscribed already, please subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Assalamu alaikum.